I am Jonah, 37 years old, the invisible son, sweating blood in Phoenix, Arizona to prop up a family that never claimed me. I rise at 3:30, aiming to slave at a construction site, only to have my sacrifices mocked and my name erased by the ones I've bled for. They celebrated my brother's every breath, while I was left to rot, until a shattering fall exposed their betrayal. What happens when the forgotten fight back? Share your own story of family betrayal below. Have you ever been discarded by those you gave everything for? I live and work in Phoenix, Arizona. Every day I wake up at 3:30 a.m. when the sky is still inky black to catch the train to the construction site. The roar of jackhammers, the scent of asphalt, and the grit have woven themselves into my existence. I have no spouse, no kids, and no space for aspirations. My life orbits around labor, supporting my family, and a tiny, shared apartment I rent with 3 other workers. But deep inside, I harbor a yearning to be truly embraced as family. I grew up in a modest family in Tempe, a suburb of Phoenix. My adoptive parents, the Harrisons, took me in from a foster home when I was barely a month old. They weren't rich, but they gave me a roof, a bed, and basic meals. I'm thankful for that. So thankful I'd do anything to repay them. They have a biological son, Liam, 15 years younger than me, who's now in university. Liam is the heart of the family, their joy, the spark in my mother's eyes. And me? I'm just the adopted son, forever on the fringes. My mother once whispered to a neighbor at a family barbecue, "Jonah's reliable, but Liam's our star." I overheard, my chest tightening, but I swallowed the hurt and kept unloading chairs for the event. From a young age, I learned to grind. I graduated from a technical institute on a grant, but no one at home cared. My mother offered a tepid smile and said, "Nice, now get a job." "Don't expect a party like Liam's middle school graduation," she added, her tone sharp, as if my achievement was a burden. Meanwhile, every grade Liam earned was trumpeted to the neighbors. Every sketch he drew was mounted on the wall. I'm not bitter, truly. I just wished, just once, for my mother to see me the way she sees Liam. Now I work as a construction laborer, toiling dawn to dusk to support the family. Most of my paycheck goes to Liam's university costs. Tuition, housing, textbooks, even his spending cash. I don't grumble. Liam's my brother. Even if we don't share blood, I want him to have a bright future, to make our parents proud. But sometimes I wonder, what about me? Last Christmas, I sent Liam $500, 0 cents for a new phone. But he didn't thank me. Instead, he texted, "Could have been more, Jonah. My friends got better models." I live in a dilapidated rented apartment, eating canned soup night after night, my clothes so threadbare they're unraveling at the edges. I don't dare buy new boots or catch a concert. Every dollar I earn flows back home, hoping one day my mother will say, "Jonah, you've done enough." But that day never arrives. One evening, I visited home after a grueling shift. I was so drained, my knees buckled, and I gripped the doorway to stay upright. In the living room, my mother was radiant, embracing Liam tightly. "He'd just been picked for the university's soccer team," she said, tousling his hair. "My boy's incredible." I stood there silently, waiting for her to glance my way, but her eyes stayed on Liam. My father, lounging in his recliner, only nodded at Liam. "Great work, son." My mother caught my eye and frowned. "Jonah, don't just stand there looking pathetic. You're embarrassing us in front of Liam's friends." I tried to speak. "Today, I completed a job ahead of schedule at the site. They said I did solid work." My mother muttered, her gaze still locked on Liam. "Yeah, fine. Oh, by the way, Liam needs extra funds for new soccer cleats. Can you send more, Jonah?" she added, her voice cold. "And don't make a fuss about it. You're not the one with the future to protect." I nodded, though my chest throbbed. I can't recall the last time my mother asked if I was okay, if I was weary. I'm just a cash machine, existing solely to fund Liam. In the weeks that followed, I pushed harder, taking on overnight shifts. Each morning, I faced the mirror. Hollow cheeks, shadows under my eyes. I told myself, keep going and they'll see your worth. But deep down, I knew it was a delusion. At a family dinner, my father toasted Liam's latest soccer goal, then turned to me. "Jonah, you're quiet. Too tired from slacking at work?" The table laughed and I forced a smile, my fork trembling in my hand. I remember once when I was burning with fever, bedridden in my rented apartment. I called my mother, hoping she'd care, but she just said, "Take some pills and don't let it mess with your job. Liam's got midterms and I'm swamped." "You're always sick at the worst times," she snapped before hanging up, as if my pain was an inconvenience. I hung up, tears streaking my face. I didn't want to weep, but the isolation crushed me. One time, I decided to treat myself. I scraped together $75.00, enough for a new hoodie. It had been ages since I bought anything for myself. I stood outside the shop, my hands shaking as I clutched the cash. But then my mother called. "Jonah, Liam wants to join a ski trip with friends. Can you send $300.00 now?" "Don't be stingy," she added. "Liam deserves to have fun, unlike you." I choked back tears, left the shop, and sent every dollar I had. That hoodie stayed a fantasy. The construction site grew brutal. Every day I scaled scaffolding, lugging heaps of materials. Sweat drenched my shirt, my shoulders screamed. But I didn't quit. I couldn't. If I did, who'd cover Liam's tuition? Who'd keep my mother smiling? I told myself I was tough, but my body started to falter. Some nights I lay on a flimsy mattress, listening to my roommate's snores, wondering, what am I enduring for? Liam called one night, demanding $200.00 for a team jacket. When I hesitated, he scoffed. "You're so cheap, Jonah. No wonder Mom says you're a letdown." One morning, I reached the site with my head pounding. I'd worked 18 hours the day before and barely slept, the air suffocating. I climbed the scaffolding, clinging tightly, but my sight began to waver. "Keep moving, Jonah," I muttered. Then everything went dark. I heard my crew's yells, the wind rushing past, and my body crashed. I woke in the hospital, my body throbbing like I'd been hit by a train. Machines hummed, the stench of disinfectant heavy. I tried to shift, but a searing pain in my side made me gasp. A nurse entered, her eyes kind. "You okay, Jonah? You've got multiple fractures and need extended rest." I nodded faintly, forcing a smile, but in my heart I only wanted one thing: my mother. I grabbed my phone, fingers trembling, and dialed. I called my mother, then my father, then Liam. No one picked up. I texted, "Mom, I had an accident. I'm in the hospital. Can you come?" I stared at the screen until my eyes stung. 1 hour, 3 hours, then a full day passed. No reply, no call. I called again, leaving a voicemail, my voice cracking. "Mom, please, I'm hurt. I need you." Still silence. I lay alone in the stark white room, hearing the nurse's footsteps echo. My heart felt pulverized. They knew I was here, but they didn't come. On the third day, the nurse returned, her face apologetic. "Jonah, I reached your family. They said they're tied up." I looked at her, keeping my voice even. "Tied up with what?" she faltered. "They said your brother's stressed about a failed class. They're hosting a barbecue to lift his spirits." She hesitated, then added, "Your mother said to tell you not to worry them with your problems." I shut my eyes, tears spilling. A barbecue? They picked a barbecue for Liam while I lay here, bones shattered, spirit broken? I didn't know what to feel, rage, pain, or just nothingness. I'd given everything, my health, my hopes, my dignity, for this family. But to them, I was invisible. I gripped the bedsheet, trying to silence my sobs. But deep within, a spark flared. I couldn't live like this anymore. Every morning in the hospital, I woke with pain coursing through me. The fractures reminded me of the scaffolding fall, but the ache in my chest was worse. I still checked my phone, hoping for a message from my mother, father, or Liam. The screen stayed blank. I told myself they were busy, that they'd come eventually, but I knew the truth. I didn't matter. One night, Liam texted, not about me, but money. "Yo, Send $100, 0 cents for my textbook, don't flake. I stared, the words blurring through tears. Even now, I was just a wallet. After 3 weeks, the doctor discharged me. You'll need to rest for months, maybe a year, to heal fully, he cautioned. No heavy lifting, Jonah. Take care of yourself. I nodded, but my heart sank. Construction was my lifeline, how I supported my family without work. How would I fund Liam's tuition? How would I earn my mother's approval? I left the hospital with a few worn clothes and a bag of meds. No one came to get me. I took the train back to my rented apartment, each bump jolting my fractures, making me wince. The apartment was unchanged, musty with the fan's rickety hum. My 3 roommates, Diego, Rafael, and Mateo, asked a few questions. You good, Jonah? Heard you took a nasty fall. I forced a smile. I'm fine, thanks, but I wasn't. I felt like a lost ship, no horizon in sight. I called the construction company, hoping they'd hold my job. The manager's voice was curt. Jonah, you're out too long. We can't wait. Sorry, we hired someone else. You were replaceable, he added, his words cutting deeper than my fractures. I hung up, hands shaking, jobless. I'd worked for them for years, taking extra shifts, never whining, but one accident and I was tossed aside like scrap. I had no choice but to return to my parents' house. I didn't want to, but I needed a place to heal, some comfort. I imagined my mother embracing me, saying, Rest, I'll handle things. I pictured my father clapping my back, saying, You'll be fine. I clung to that hope, however faint, to keep going. That weekend, I returned to my childhood home in Tempe. My heart raced as I stood at the door. The house was familiar. Red brick, my mother's neat flower beds. I knocked, each tap a plea. My mother opened the door, her eyes flashing surprise, then annoyance. Jonah, why show up unannounced? You could have texted, she hissed. Now you're disrupting Liam's study time. I tried to smile despite the pain in my ribs. I had an accident, Mom. The company replaced me. I need to stay with you and Dad for a bit. She sighed, letting me in. Fine, but keep it quiet. Liam's studying. I nodded, stepping into the living room. Everything was the same. Liam's photos on the walls, his soccer trophies on display, nothing of me. I'd never noticed it before, but now it stung like a lash. My father was in his recliner, reading a magazine. He glanced up, frowning. Jonah, how'd you mess up and get hurt? Working recklessly? You've always been careless, he added, shaking his head. No wonder you're jobless now. I swallowed, trying to explain. I was overworked, Dad. Too many hours. He cut me off. Overworked? Men endure. Now you're jobless. What's your plan? I stood silent, feeling like a scolded kid. They let me sleep in the old utility room, stuffed with crates and junk. My mother handed me a worn blanket. Sleep here for now. Don't ask for more. We're tight on space. And don't expect us to coddle you, she warned. You're not Liam. I nodded, though my heart burned. I'd sent thousands of dollars to this family, but now I was worth only a dusty corner. In the days that followed, I tried to blend in, hoping things would shift. I dragged my aching body to do chores, washing dishes, raking the yard, though every move left me sweating in pain. I thought my mother would see my effort, soften, but no, she'd scowl. Careful, Jonah, don't break anything. Or, you're too slow, I'll do it. Liam came home on weekends. He was lanky, with dyed blonde hair, sporting a new soccer jersey. The day I arrived, he glanced at me, smirking. Oh, you're back. Heard you crashed or something? I nodded, waiting for more, but he shrugged. That's rough. Anyway, Mom, I need cash for concert tickets next week. My mother rushed to grab her wallet, beaming. You're not going to ruin my weekend with your sob story, right, Jonah? I sat watching, feeling like a blade had pierced my chest. I'd just lost my job, my body broken, and no one asked if I was okay. But Liam wanted concert tickets, and my mother was ready to spend money I'd bled for. One evening, I couldn't hold it in. I limped into the kitchen where my mother was cooking. Mom, we need to talk. She didn't turn, muttering, What? I'm busy. I took a deep breath, keeping my voice steady. I've done everything for this family. Paid Liam's tuition, sent money every month. Why don't you ever care about me? She stopped, turned, her eyes icy. Hair. Who do you think you are to demand that? You're adopted, Jonah. We raised you, fed you, got you through school. Be grateful, not demanding. You've always been ungrateful, she spat. Liam's our legacy, not you. Her words sliced my heart. But I've done everything, I said, voice shaking. I'm exhausted. I had an accident and no one came to the hospital. No one! She scoffed. You're dramatic. Liam needs me more. He's my real son, and you... She trailed off, but I understood. I was nothing. My father overheard and stormed in. Jonah, enough! Don't upset your mother. You're jobless, a burden. If you stay, find work, and keep sending money. Liam's starting his sophomore year. He needs plenty. You've never pulled your weight, he added, his voice like a hammer. Don't drag us down with you. I stared, stunned. A burden? Dad, I have fractures. I lost my job. He snapped. Don't argue. If you can't help this family, don't stay here whining. I retreated to the utility room, shut the door, and sank to the floor. Tears flowed, and I let them. The pain consumed me. I'd sacrificed everything, my health, my dreams, my pride, to please them. But to them, I was a broken tool, discarded. Liam was the final blow. One morning, he banged on the utility room door, looking irritated. Hey, Mom says you need to send this month's money. I need a new tablet. I stared, floored. Liam, I lost my job. I've got nothing. He smirked. Then borrow some, figure it out. You always send money. Why stop now? You're so selfish. Mom's right about you, he sneered. You're just a loser taking up space. I stood, ignoring the pain. Selfish? I've paid your tuition for years. Lived in a hole so you could have a nice dorm, he shrugged. That's your role. You're adopted. If you don't help, who will? I couldn't speak. I watched him saunter off, hearing my mother's cheerful laughter with him in the living room. In that moment, I knew this family would never see me as their own. I was a cog in their machine, cast aside when broken. I lay on the thin mattress, staring at the cracked ceiling. I thought of the years lost, overtime shifts, hungry nights, swallowed tears. I'd lived for them, but they didn't need me. A spark ignited, not anger but resolve. I couldn't keep living like this. I packed a few clothes into a tattered backpack. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't want another jab. As I left that house, I felt the pain but also a sliver of liberation. I didn't know where I'd go or what I'd do, but I knew one thing. I wouldn't let them define my worth anymore. I boarded the last train of the day, watching the dim orange streetlights blur by, and told myself, Jonah, you have to start over. Just this once. Live for yourself. I returned to Phoenix, the city where I'd poured sweat and tears into construction sites. I had no apartment, no job. My savings would last a few days if I ate ramen and walked instead of taking the train. I stood amid the city's bustle, feeling like a specter. But then I thought of Javier, my old construction supervisor. He was the only person who'd ever treated me like kin. I hesitated, remembering how my mother had mocked me for trusting Javier. He's just using you, Jonah, she'd said at a family lunch. You're too naive. But I knew better. I went to the old construction site, the clamor of drills as loud as ever. Javier was there, his hard hat askew, barking orders. When he saw me, his face lit up. Jonah, you're still kicking, you fool. He hugged me so hard I winced from my still healing ribs. I spilled everything. The accident, losing my job, my family. Javier listened, nodding, muttering curses in Spanish. You deserve better, Jonah, he said. Crash with me. My place is tiny, but there's room. Forget those leeches, he added, his voice fierce. You're my brother now. I moved into Javier's small apartment in Glendale. He lived alone, his partner gone years ago, his kids grown and moved out. The apartment smelled of roasted chiles and hummed with mariachi tunes from the radio. Javier gave me the couch and a thick quilt. "Rest," he said. "We'll sort it out." For the first time in months, I slept without dreaming of my mother or Liam. A flicker of warmth stirred, like I wasn't entirely alone. Javier didn't let me sink. Every morning he yanked me up, insisting I eat breakfast, usually tortillas and strong coffee. He shared tales of his early days in Phoenix, arriving from Mexico with empty pockets. "You know, Jonah, in this life, you save yourself, no one else will. Your family's poison," he said one morning, slamming his mug down. "They'll bleed you dry if you let them." He found me odd jobs, patching drywall, painting fences for neighbors. It wasn't much, but it kept me from feeling worthless. More importantly, Javier believed in me. He said I was sharp, that I could do more than construction. "You've got a story, Jonah," he said. "Share it. The world needs to hear it." I didn't get it at first. Share my story? I was just a jobless laborer. Who'd care? But one night, scrolling on my phone, I saw a video online. A man recounting his escape from a toxic family. It had millions of views, thousands of comments. I read them, seeing people echo his pain, finding themselves in his words. I thought, I have a story too. Maybe I should try. I borrowed Javier's phone, a beat-up smartphone, better than mine. I sat on the couch, the kitchen's dim light behind me, and recorded my first video. I didn't know what to say, so I just spoke from the heart. "My name's Jonah," I started, voice unsteady. "I'm 37, was a construction worker in Phoenix. I grew up adopted, but my family never saw me as theirs. I did everything for them, paid my brother's tuition, lived in a dump so they could thrive. But when I had an accident, they didn't show. They called me a burden. They laughed at my pain," I added, my voice breaking. "Told me I was nothing without them." I teared up, but kept going, spilling the pain, the betrayal, my resolve to break free. The video was 12 minutes, raw, unpolished. I posted it on a video platform, titling it, "The Unseen Son." Expected nothing, maybe a few views. But the next morning, Javier's phone buzzed endlessly. The video had hundreds of views, then thousands. Comments poured in. "Jonah, my family did the same. Thank you for speaking. You're so strong, keep going." I read each, heart racing. I never thought my story would resonate. Javier slapped my back, laughing. "Told you." I made more videos, capturing life in Phoenix, bustling street markets, mornings sipping coffee with Javier, days doing odd jobs. I shared my journey from hospital nights to the freedom of leaving my family. I didn't sugarcoat it. I was Jonah, scarred, seeking light. I even shared low moments like sitting by the desert watching the sunset, wondering if I was enough. In one video, I held up a photo of my old work boots, frayed from years of labor. "These carried me for them," I said. "Now I'm walking for me." My videos spread fast. Thousands of views became millions. Strangers messaged me, sharing their stories of being cast-off kids, sacrificing for families who didn't care. I replied to every message, even when my hands ached. I felt less alone, finding a community. A new family bound not by blood, but by empathy. Javier became a cameo in my videos, popping in with a coffee mug, teasing me on camera. "Jonah, tell it right, don't mess up." Viewers loved him, dubbing him Tio Javier, and he grinned wide. The videos earned ad money. I paid Javier back, bought a new phone, and learned to edit videos. I wasn't wealthy, but I felt alive. Truly alive. Javier watched my latest video, shaking his head. "You're making me famous, Jonah, but don't let it go to your head." One day, I got an email from a stranger, Sofia Reyes. She introduced herself as a film producer in San Diego. "Jonah, I've seen your videos," she wrote. "Your story's powerful. I want to collaborate to make it a movie. Can we meet?" I read it repeatedly, thinking it was a scam. But Javier, beside me, bellowed. "Call her, you fool. This is your shot." "Don't let your family's lies stop you," he added, his eyes fierce. "They called you worthless? Prove them wrong." I called Sofia, heart pounding. She was serious. She wanted to buy my story's rights, with me as a consultant. Your story's not just yours, Jonah, she said. It's for millions finding their worth. We met in Phoenix a week later. Sophia was a wiry woman, fast-talking, eyes sharp. She offered $1,800,000, 0 cents. I was speechless. Javier kicked my shin under the table. Say something, I negotiated, bolstered by Javier's faith, settling on $2,200,000, 0 cents. I signed, my hand shaking so much the signature was a scrawl. When Sophia left, Javier hugged me, shouting, "You did it, Jonah! You're a star!" I laughed, but inside, I couldn't believe it. From a jobless laborer to $2,200,000, 0 cents. The contract with Sophia was a lifeline, but the money didn't come all at once. She explained they'd pay $400,000, 0 cents, up front to stabilize my life, with the remaining $1,800,000, 0 cents, after the film's completion. When the first sum hit my account, I stared at the figure, pulse racing. I'd never seen such money. It wasn't just cash, it was a chance to live without scraping by. I kept the deal quiet, not from fear, but to shield my new peace. Only Javier, Sophia, and a few production folks knew. I didn't boast in videos or tell new friends. I feared my family would sniff out the money like sharks and ruin my fresh start. I remembered my mother's voice at a family reunion, sneering, "Jonah, you'll never amount to anything." I vowed to keep this victory mine. I worked closely with Sophia's team, hired as a consultant to shape the script, casting, and test shoots. I knew nothing about films, but Sophia was patient. "Jonah, you're the heart of this movie," she said. "No one tells this better." I visited the set, saw my name on a consultant's chair, and felt pride for the first time. I wasn't just a survivor, I was building something meaningful. I suggested details. A scene of a weary laborer eating canned soup in a dingy apartment, the cold glare of an adoptive mother when her son pleads for care. Each was a piece of my soul, and the team valued it. The $400,000, 0 cents let me settle. I paid Javier back, though he waved it off. "Call it a gift, Tio Javier." I laughed, pressing the cash into his hand. I moved into a modest apartment near the desert, not lavish, but mine. Mornings brought the sound of wind through cacti, a new kind of freedom. I enrolled in a construction management course, a field less taxing than labor. I stumbled over concepts, but each step felt like progress. I wasn't the broken worker anymore. I was Jonah, rebuilding. Sophia called one night, excited. "Jonah, your input's shaping the film. The cast loves your story. You're not just a consultant, you're our inspiration." News of the film leaked. Small blogs called it a stirring tale of grit. Then major outlets caught on. A Phoenix New Times piece read, "Jonah, from laborer to viral storyteller, brings his life to the screen." I was both shy and thrilled. Javier bought a stack of copies, flaunting them around Glendale. "See, I said you'd shine." Then, a local TV show, Sunrise Phoenix, emailed, "We'd love to interview you, Jonah. Your story's inspiring millions." I shook reading it, thinking it was a fluke. Me on TV? But Javier pushed. "Go, fool! The world needs you." Sophia agreed. "This spreads your message, Jonah." "Show them what you're made of," Javier added, grinning. "Let your family choke on their lies." The interview was in a bright studio, lights glaring. The host, Marisol, smiled warmly. "Jonah, from construction worker to viral star and film consultant. What kept you going?" I took a deep breath and shared my story. Grueling site days, the scaffolding crash, my family's apathy, my path to self-discovery. I spoke of Javier, Sophia, and the film. "I thought I needed my family to feel worthy," I said, voice wavering. "But my worth doesn't hinge on them. I chose to live for me. They called me a burden," I added, my voice steadying. "But I'm carrying my own weight now." Marisol nodded, eyes misty. When it ended, she hugged me. "You're remarkable, Jonah." The airing sparked a flood of viewer messages. "Jonah, you spoke for us. You gave me courage to live for me." I smiled but realized if strangers saw it, my family would too. And as I dreaded, they came crawling. A week later, my mother texted, "Jonah, my son, I'm so sorry. Let's meet and talk. I miss you." "We've always loved you," she added, her words dripping with falsehood. I gave a bitter smirk. Did she miss me or my money? Liam was bolder. "Yo, heard you're loaded. Spot me cash for a motorcycle. I'll pay back." "Don't be a jerk about it," he texted again. "You owe us." My father was blunt. "Jonah, come home. We need to talk." Not one asked if I was okay, if I'd survived those dark months. I gripped my phone, each message twisting the knife in my chest. I told Javier, who slammed the table, "Don't be dumb, Jonah. They treated you like trash, now faking apologies for cash. Don't meet them." "They'll suck you dry," he warned. "You're finally free. Don't go back." But I wavered. A fragile part, craving family, wanted to believe they'd changed. I agreed to meet, but not in Tempe. I picked a busy diner in downtown Phoenix, where I could walk away if it turned ugly. I arrived early, clutching my coffee in a corner. My mother entered in a bright scarf, hair styled like she was headed to a gala. My father followed, steps heavy. Liam trailed, earbuds in, eyes on his phone. They sat, and my mother launched in. "Jonah, my son, I'm so glad you're okay." Her voice was syrupy, but her eyes were stone. I nodded, waiting. My father cut to it. "Heard you got a film deal. $400,000, 0 cents up front, right? The family's struggling. Can you help?" "You've got no excuse now," he added, his tone accusing. "You're sitting on cash while we scrape by." I swallowed, staying calm. "Struggling how?" "I sent money for years. Liam's tuition, house bills, everything." My mother snapped, voice sharp. "But you're flush now, Jonah. Don't be selfish. Liam needs a new laptop for school. The house needs new windows." "I need therapy," Liam chimed in, not looking up. "Yeah, just send cash. I've got debts." "You're acting all high and mighty," he sneered. "Bet you think you're better than us now." I looked at them, not one mentioning the accident, the hospital nights, my lost job. They saw only a wallet. I took a deep breath, speaking slowly. "I don't owe this family anything. I've paid enough with my sweat, my health, my heart. Now I'm living for me." My mother froze, then shrieked. "How dare you? I raised you, fed you, sent you to school. You're ungrateful. You'll always be an outsider," she spat. "You think money makes you one of us?" My father banged the table. "Jonah, if you won't help, don't call us family," Liam smirked. "Thought you were big time with your movie? Without family, you're nothing." I stood, heart pounding. If this is family, I don't want it. I walked out, my mother's shouts trailing. "You'll regret this, Jonah!" Back at Hager's, I trembled with anger and pain. I told him everything, and he hugged me. "You did right. They don't deserve you." That night, I couldn't sleep, replaying years of sacrifice, the insults. I knew I couldn't let them drag me back. I had to live for myself, however daunting. A year after signing with Sophia, my life feels like a vision I never dared imagine. The film, The Unseen Son, premiered nationwide. At the Phoenix premiere, my heart raced as the screen lit up, showing my story, the brutal sight days, the hospital pain, my family's betrayal. I didn't cry, but my hands clenched the seat. When, based on the true story of Jonah appeared, the theater roared with applause. Javier, beside me, nudged me. "You did it, star." The film was a hit beyond dreams. Critics called it raw, profound. Audiences flocked. An Unseen Son trended for weeks. A Variety piece wrote, "Jonah hasn't just shared a story, he's ignited a movement on resilience and self-worth." I read it, still disbelieving. From a jobless laborer, I'd inspired millions. Days after the premiere, Sophia called. "Jonah, the film's crushing the box office. We're sending the remaining $1,800,000, 0 cents today." I nodded. then sank onto the couch, dazed. $1,800,000, 0 cents plus the $400,000 0 cents, was unimaginable. It wasn't just money. It was proof I'd overcome. I knew what to do with it. I drove to Glendale and knocked on Javier's door. He opened it, in a faded tee, holding a coffee mug. "What, Hollywood stars got time for an old man?" he teased. I laughed, pulling him to sit. "Javier, I want you to retire. I'll take care of you." He frowned, waving me off. "Nonsense. I'm still sturdy." But I was firm. "You saved me, Javier. Let me return it. I'm buying a house and you're moving in." He grumbled, but his eyes glistened. I found a modest desert view home in Phoenix. Not grand, but roomy for us both. It had a patio facing the dunes where I heard the wind daily. I convinced Javier to move in, and after weeks of protests, he agreed. "Fine, but I'm still brewing coffee every morning," he said. I laughed hard. Seeing him in an armchair by the window reading a paper lifted a burden. Javier wasn't just my supervisor, he was family, the father I chose. "You're stuck with me now, Tio," I teased, and he chuckled, tossing a pillow at me. I kept making videos, not for fame, but to share my new life. Javier teaching me to cook tamales, desert jogs, or patio musings on my construction management course. I stopped dwelling on the past. My adoptive family, Tempe, the slights, they were a fated nightmare. I healed by living true to myself. In my latest video, I looked at the camera and said, "They tried to break me, but I'm still standing. You can too." The comments flooded. "Jonah, you're our hero." For the first time, I believed it.